Welcome to the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers. There are no traffic jams along the Extra Mile when you're studying for your bar exam. And now, your host, Jackson Mummy, owner of the Celebration Bar Review.
Well, hey everybody, welcome to the Extra Mile podcast. This is your host, Jackson Mummy, and this is episode 153. Hope you had a great 4th of July weekend. You know, it's a funny thing. I guess after 25 years of doing this, I tend to see the world differently. I know that most people are thinking, wow, July 4th, great, 4-day weekend. I'm thinking, July 4th, great, it's on a Tuesday. That means most people are going to get Monday off, so they have an extra day of study. You know, I would say get a life, except clearly this is my life. So in any event, I'm glad you're here sharing this part of my life with me right now. And if this is your first time to the podcast, well, it's a sample of, I guess, what you're going to be getting. But for those of you that have been with us, we're glad to have you back and hope your studies are going well. We're, of course, about 25 days until the bar exam right now. And in today's message, I'm going to talk a little bit about what it takes in terms of the mindset to be successful on the exam. Now, I know that most of you have not been able to go to the movies recently, so I went for you. And I saw the movie Wonder Woman, and I'm going to be sharing a scene from Wonder Woman. You know, don't worry, I'm not putting on the spandex or the silver bracelets, gold bracelets, but there'll be a little bit of this in it, you know. And for those of you who don't know what I just did, it's because you're not watching me on video, but you can. You can go to celebrationbarreview.com/152 and watch today's episode entirely in video, which is always fun. But again, I promise, no spandex and no onesies. Or you can listen on iTunes or iHeartRadio. However you're consuming this material, we're glad to have you with us. But in any event, celebrationbarreview.com/152 if you want to watch the video. But we're going to be talking a little bit about a particularly pivotal scene in Wonder Woman, because I think it's really relevant to what a lot of bar takers are feeling right before the bar exam. So I hope you'll stick around for that message. Now, I also want to take a moment before we jump into today's message to invite those of you who are sitting for the bar exam in February or July of 2018 to join us for a free 90-minute workshop called How to Make the Next Bar Exam Your Last Bar Exam. This is a look at the new way, it's a powerful way to study and pass the bar. We're going to take you through 4 steps that you really have to know in order to be successful on your exam. Now, this webinar is totally free. It's at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, that's 12 noon Pacific, on Thursday, July 6th. So I hope you'll join us, and in order to do that, you need to reserve your seat. You can do that in one of a couple of ways. You can go to our website at celebrationbarreview.com. There's a button right there on the front page. Just click and we'll get you registered. Or if you're watching this on video, just scroll down this video page and you will see the link, and you can subscribe right from there. And if you're someone who would prefer to register by text message, you can do that as well. Just text the phrase "next bar exam" to the number 33444. Again, it's the phrase "next bar exam" to the number 33444. We'll get you registered, and we'll see you Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, if for some reason that date or time doesn't work well for you, there's also an on-demand version of the same information and material. And if you just go to our webpage at celebrationbarreview.com, scroll down the page just a bit, you'll see the button for the on-demand version. You can click on that and schedule your own showing. And either way, we hope you'll take advantage of that and join us for this information. It literally can be life-changing for you when it comes to your studies for the bar exam. Well, I'm excited to share my synopsis of an important scene in the movie Wonder Woman. I call it Crossing No Man's Land. So let's take a look. We are about 25 days until the exam. And last week, I talked to you about one of my favorite movies, Wall-E. Got a lot of response to that. And a lot of you said, oh man, finally, talking about a movie I remember. I realized that bar takers are not typically up on current movies, entertainment, events in the world. By the way, there have been a lot. There's a lot going on in the world these days. But there's been a movie that I really enjoyed recently. And if you're looking for some right before the bar exam motivation and inspiration and just pure escapist entertainment, I highly recommend the movie Wonder Woman. It is a great movie. It is so much better than the typical superhero movies, at least in my mind. But there is a part of Wonder Woman that is just so perfectly appropriate to the bar exam at this point that I couldn't help myself. I just had to talk about it today. And I realize it's a little bit of a spoiler alert. I am going to talk a little bit. I'm going to tell you about one scene in the movie. It's not the biggest scene in the movie. It doesn't change anything ultimately in the movie, but I know some of you are purists and you don't want to hear it. So I guess if you really don't want to know anything about the movie, you probably should stop listening now. But if you don't care all that much about the movie and you'd like to hear something about the bar review and the bar exam, I think this message is worth hanging in and listening. The title for today's discussion, I called Crossing No Man's Land. Crossing No Man's Land. Now, if you've seen the movie, you're going to be just fine. I'm just going to recount a scene. If you haven't seen the movie, I think I can set it up for you appropriately. And then I'm going to tie it into what I think goes on to bar takers. But here's the basic setup of the movie scene. I think most of you know a little bit about Wonder Woman, beyond the fact that she wears gold spandex one pieces and she's got the gold bracelets and, she's a god, basically. In any event, this god or goddess comes to Earth to the humans, and she finds herself in this movie in the middle of World War I in Europe. And this is pretty, she's an Amazon goddess. All right, fine. She's an Amazon goddess. Now, to be clear, and I've got nothing against Amazon goddesses. I mean, I know many of them. They shop on Amazon every day. But in any event, Wonder Woman shows up in World War I on the battlefront in the Belgian part of the battle. And in this particular scene, Wonder Woman is joined by four kind of helpful, not always, regular people, not gods or goddesses. And they are there to assist her in getting some secrets from the Germans and stopping the war if they can. Now, this group of four guys really are interesting. I mean, Chris Pine, who many of you know, and he's one of the famous Chris guys that's like the superhero, not superhero, but he's the leading man kind of guy. And then there's these three misfit kind of guys that are with him. In any event, they're all together. And they get to this spot in the battlefront where we find a foxhole, a huge foxhole that the Allies are in. And I don't mean just like a little dugout, little narrow foxhole. I mean, this is like a MASH unit foxhole. It's huge. And we come into the foxhole. They arrive from behind the lines. And it's like, wow, this place, they didn't just, the soldiers didn't just make this last night. I mean, there's signs up on the wall and there's wood embankments and there's all kinds of, there's food and all sorts. I mean, it's an amazing facility. And Wonder Woman is looking around and she's going, well, what's going on here? This seems really odd to me. And the men who are with her say, oh, this is the foxhole. The Allies have been here for over a year. And the Germans are out on the other side of that over something called no man's land. And Wonder Woman says, well, what's going on? And they say to her, well, neither side can move. We haven't gained a foot in a year of ground, nor have the Germans. We just keep lobbing bombs and shells and shooting each other across this no man's land, but nobody can gain an advantage. Well, it's really interesting because Wonder Woman is in this foxhole. She's looking around, and the four guys that come in with her have apparently been in the foxhole a year before and come back. So they're greeting their buddies, and everyone's just kind of there, and they've got their army helmets on, and the bullets are flying over their head, and they're all kind of like, yeah, well, this is just what we do. We just hang out here in the foxhole, and, it's not a great life at all, and we're not very happy, but this is what it is. We just sit here and wait. Interesting, isn't it? All right, so that's the setup of the scene. Now, I want to stop for just a minute to say that what's going on in the foxhole is a lot like what's going on for a lot of bar takers right now. A lot of you are in a foxhole. You've been in the foxhole for a long time, and some of you have gotten really comfortable in the foxhole. You've gotten so used to studying and not being successful, of not anticipating or thinking that you can do anything, that you've actually made it a pretty comfortable little place to be. oh, I'm studying for the bar for the next 6 months and I won't be able to engage in the world or do anything or talk to people or take care of responsibilities around the house or spend time with my family or my children or do the job I'm supposed to do at work because I'm studying for the bar. Really? And they sit in the foxhole and they continue to feel like, well, this really sucks. I don't really enjoy studying for the bar. The bullets are whizzing over my head, but I'm just kind of resigned to it. I got assigned here. This is where I am. And, I'm just going to stick it out and we'll see what happens. But here I am having life in the bar exam foxhole. Oh my gosh. It is so tough to talk and work with people who've taken on that mentality. Basically, they've simply come to accept that this is the best it's ever going to get. And they say things like, oh, I'm going to take the exam and I don't know. It doesn't seem very likely. I mean, things don't look good for me. I don't think I can really understand this. But I'm going to try. Oh, I'm going to try. And my heart goes out to those folks. I want them to succeed. I want them to try, but they're just in the foxhole and they're not coming out. I mean, they're just not coming out. They are there and they've actually made it into a pretty comfortable place to be. And so my first question to you is, what's your foxhole look like? Have you created a foxhole for the bar exam? Have you created a comfortable place, even if it's miserable, but it's something it's my miserable, right? And my miserable is so comfortable to me that I'd rather be miserable here than take a chance or take a risk. See, the guys in the foxhole in the movie were not willing to take a risk at all. I mean, it's plenty risky to be in the foxhole, don't get me wrong, but they were not willing to take any greater risk than that. They were willing to just sit in that foxhole for a year in miserable weather and terrible conditions because they just didn't care enough. So what's your foxhole when it comes to the bar exam? It's an interesting question, one you might want to ask with 25 days to go. Well, that's the beginning of that scene. But now Wonder Woman shows up in the foxhole, and Wonder Woman says to her compatriots and to the guys in the foxhole, we have a mission. We have something, and Wonder Woman's mission is she wants to find the god of war and stop the war. How cool is that, right? She wants to stop the war, and I think that is absolutely phenomenal. All right. She's got a mission, and that mission is important to her. It absolutely animates her. It causes her to leave her Amazon goddess utopia and go to the world of humans and put herself in harm's way. It's pretty amazing, right? And she's willing to do that in spite of opposition from her family, in spite of everything that's in her way. So now she arrives in the foxhole and she says, we've got to get past the Germans to get to the town where we're going to find the people and the formulas that we're looking for in order to solve this mission. And so what happens is that everyone around her looks at her like she's crazy. I mean, they do. They literally just like, what are you talking? That's no man's land out there. And suddenly, without telling anyone she's going to do it, they're all making small talk, talking about the foxhole, loving the foxhole. She climbs a ladder out of the foxhole into this broad open field that's called no man's land. Why? Because the mission absolutely motivates her. The mission gets her in to no man's land. Now, my question for you as a bar taker, what is it that gets you into no man's land? Why are you doing this? Why are you sitting for the bar exam? Some of you would say to me, I'm sitting for the bar exam because I have to, because the lawyers in the bar are unfair, because the system's unfair, because I have to do it so I can pay off my bills. That's all true. That's exactly true. It is not very inspiring, however, is it? And then I talk to people who say, you know what? I'm doing it because I'm fed up with what's going on in America. I'm fed up with what's happening in the bar. I'm fed up with the fact that people aren't being given the kind of representation that they need. I'm fed up with the idea that there aren't enough people of color, there aren't enough people of different backgrounds and genders, there aren't enough people that look like me. I don't mean me, because there are way too many people that look like me, but there are way too many people that don't look like this bar taker in the bar. I'm doing it because it's my life's passion. I've always wanted to be a lawyer. I've always wanted to be in the law. I see a fire in some people's eyes that is absolutely breathtaking. It's literally, it just makes you want to cry. It's just that you know. And then I get the people that are like, I don't know. I mean, I guess I want to do it because, I went to law school, and so now I guess I got to pass the bar. Really? You think those people are going to get into no man's land? I don't think so. I think the only way that you'd be willing to get into no man's land is if you are hell-bent on your mission. So my question is, what's your mission? What's going to get you going? If you haven't been able to identify that, this is the time to do it. You need to figure out why you're doing it. And if the only reason you're doing it is because somebody told you you have to pass the bar, that may be true, but that is not motivating. And you got to change that attitude or you will not make it. The bar exam is too tough these days. I'm just going to tell you flat out. The days that you could just stroll into the bar exam, take it, in a John Grisham style, yeah, I'm just going to drink some whiskey and go take the bar. No, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to work. You got to be all in. You got to be crazy in. You got to have a mission that motivates you totally there. You got to be passionate about it. Absolutely. And Wonder Woman is passionate about her mission. In fact, she's so passionate that she jumps up in the scene. She gets into no man's land, which is a huge expanse, and she starts running. Now, I got to tell you, I love this. I love this because Wonder Woman starts running, and what do the Germans do? They start firing. I mean, they fire everything at her. And what does she do? The golden bracelets, right? Better than my Fitbit, my Jawbone. And she starts bouncing off the, boom, 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 boom. And she keeps running, and they keep firing, and she keeps running. Why would she do that? Because the mission is so important to her. It's so important to her that she can't stop. She's got to be running no matter what is being aimed at her. Look, no matter what the bar examiners are doing to you, you got to keep running. They send you a character and fitness check. You got to keep running. They send you a tough question. You got to keep running. They give you MBE questions that are tough. You got to keep running. But some of you are scared to death. And instead of running, of putting up your bullets, putting up your shield and running, you go, oh, I give up. It's so hard. Well, as Wonder Woman continues across no man's land, her small but mighty team of 4 guys look around and go, where is she? Oh my God, she's out there. She's running. They're firing. And here's the interesting part. They could have stayed in the Foxhole. I mean, it was safer in the Foxhole. But you know what they do? There's only 4 of them. There's all these Germans, and they've got all of this equipment and machinery and missile launchers and rocket launchers and machine guns and everything else. These 4 guys with their single rifles, basically, jump up, and they follow her into no man's land. How can you imagine such a thing? They're not goddesses. They can die. They don't have the ability to do this. But they go out behind her as a small and mighty team to back her up. Now, here's the interesting part. You've got a small but mighty team too. It includes your family, your friends. It certainly includes us if you're in our course. It includes the people that you care about and that care about you. And you know what? Those people will follow you across no man's land if you have the guts to do it. But some of you are saying, oh, it's so hard. I just don't think I can do it. There's so many things not going my way. Oh, those questions are so tough. The answer choices, I don't like them. Oh, they're so mean to me. Oh, it's so difficult. I just don't know what I can do about it. And the small but mighty team goes, yeah, you're right. We can't, that's not very motivating to us. So good luck. I hope you're successful. Goodbye. See ya. But the people who are in it, who say, you know what? I'm going for it. I am going to do everything I can do. Those people around them, their families, their friends, they say, you can do it. You can do it. Go for it. Give it your best. Make it happen. You can do it. We say you can do it. You can go inch by inch, step by step. You can make it if you just make the effort. But some of you don't want to make the effort. And so you say, oh, it's just not fair. And you then say, why isn't anyone helping me? Really? Why isn't my bar review helping me? Why isn't anyone going to help me to be a lawyer? Because you're not inspiring, because you don't have a mission, because you aren't taking the risk. And because you're not doing that, there's no small but mighty team behind you. So Wonder Woman is out there running across no man's land, bouncing bullets off, flipping, turning, twisting, doing all this stuff. I mean, They are sending everything they've got at her. And her small but mighty team is suddenly brave. And they're picking off Germans one by one. And as they do it, the rest of the army jumps up and says, oh, maybe we should get out of the foxhole. And they start to come behind her. Now, here's what the interesting part is. Wonder Woman makes it across no man's land, and she jumps over the foxhole where the Germans are, and she starts blowing up their total encampment. She rips up their equipment. She's just destroying the weapons totally. It is awesome. It is amazing, right? Why? Because she's willing to give up everything. She is willing to fail, to be killed, to die, to not be successful because it means so much to her. Well, here's my question to you. What are you willing to risk to succeed? Some of you aren't willing to risk very much. Oh, it's inconvenient. It's too much work. It takes too much time. I don't want to spend the money. It's not a location I want to go to. I didn't like the person sitting next to me at the exam. I don't think I really want to invest in a laptop. I don't think I really want to spend the time studying. I'll just, do something else for a while. Really? Really? What are you risking to succeed? Wonder Woman was willing to risk everything. She had a perfect life. She's willing to risk it for this mission. She's willing to do something that's risky and impossible and dangerous, and she does it because it matters. And because it matters to her, it matters to everybody else behind her. And she gives up everything for this. Some of you aren't willing to give up anything, and you're not going to pass. But for those of you who are willing to give up everything, who for the next 25 days are willing to jump in and say, I will do whatever it takes. I will go through any barrier to be successful. I will do what I'm asked to do. I will study. I will focus. I will make it happen. I will succeed. Then you will. It's really that simple. And many of you have already given up. You've already stopped in the foxhole. But here's what separates the winners from the losers on the bar exam. It's really who's willing to cross no man's land. Well, that's our episode for today. I hope you enjoyed that look at Wonder Woman. I really loved the movie. Obviously, it was a lot of fun, but I think it's a real message for bar takers. So I hope it's something that can inspire you and lift you up in the days to come. We'll be back again next week as we continue marching towards the July 2017 exam. I hope your studies go really, really well. I just want to remind those of you taking the exams in February or July of 2018 to join us for How to Make the Next Bar Exam, your last bar exam. That'll be this Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern. You can register on our website, or if you're here watching on the video, just scroll down this page and you'll see the registration form. In any event, we look forward to seeing you. We hope things go well for you, and we'll catch you next week on the next episode of the Extra Mile podcast. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Extra Mile podcast. Thanks for listening to the Extra Mile podcast for Bar Exam Takers at www.celebrationbarreview.com.